Good day. I'm going to service a RockShox Monarch R shock today. First, we'll take the setting, which is how many clicks of rebound that is. We have 5 clicks, and also the air pressure. Okay, so once we do that, we'll let the air out of the air can. Put a rag over it. Boom. Take a 90-degree pick. Stab this high volume sleeve retainer. And then pull that sleeve off. Wipe it out. And then we'll remove the air can. Sometimes it's quite tight, like now. So I just spray it off. And then use a strap wrench. Top out bumper comes off. Wipe this out. Take a valve core removal tool. Remove this IFP valve cap. And then remove the IFP valve core with the same tool. Okay. We'll undo the bearing assembly. And then wiggle the piston out. We'll drain out this oil, the oil pan. Use a shock pump with the IFP valve adapter tool. I used the Fox 2021 reservoir inflator tool. Same thread as the RockShox one, but works better. So I put a rag in front of the shock body, blow out the IFP. Remove the piston now. .10mm wrench. Take a straight pick, carefully remove the shim stack and piston into the pick. Bearing assembly comes off, bottom out bumper, bottom out washer, and next we'll replace the seals. Okay, so we first inspect this damper shaft. Sometimes it can flex into this edge of the bearing assembly and scratch the shaft, but this one's fine. It's usually a problem on longer shocks. Okay, so we'll use the MTB Hydraulics Monarch Plus routine service kit. So this has some extra seals that we won't need, but that's fine. Okay, it's hard to open. Okay, so I'll put on the bottom out washer. Take the bottom out bumper from that kit. Make sure this whole thing is clean, and then we'll set this aside. Then we'll take the IFP seal. Wipe out the IFP recess and also the groove. Take the new seal. Wipe out the shock body. Pop in the IFP. Wipe out the high volume sleeve. Take the bearing assembly. Remove this squad ring. We'll reuse the backup rings here. Make sure not to scratch this sealing surface. Wipe this whole thing off. Take a 2mm Allen key for these perch board plug. And then I use a 1/16 inch diameter punch to push out that sealing pellet. It's quite tight, so we'll use the vise for that. Gently clamp that. It pops out. Okay, so install the quad ring, make sure it's not twisted. Make sure the 45-degree cut is lined up correctly on the backup rings. Remove the inner seal. Push that in. Okay, so that bearing assembly goes on the damper shaft. Now we'll put the piston back in place. Actually, no, we'll do the air can seals. Pop out the wiper and the air can quad ring. Carefully pop out these backup rings. We'll reuse them. They're fine. Wipe out these seal grooves. wipe out the rest of the air can. Wipe off the threads and the outside of the air can, especially this recess for the high volume sleeve retainer. We'll clean these backup rings. Pop the backup ring in place. I'll put some, make sure the seals are always moist, either from the oil in your gloves or apply some silicoleum or something. Pop these in place, and then pop in the wiper. That's good. So now we'll reassemble the rest of the shock in the vise. Okay, so we'll reassemble this shock. Put the shim stack in place. Piston, rebound shim stack. Actually, I'm going to use some Loctite on this nut. Wipe the threads as much as possible. Wipe the inside threads of this as much as possible. And I'll put a tiny bit of red Loctite on this, because the torque spec is not very high and these can come loose. I use a torque wrench for this nut because it's easy to break the shaft. So I'll go to OEM spec is 4.5 Newton meters. I like to go to about 5, 5.5, something like that. It's 4.5. It falls apart sometimes. Okay, so that's about 5 to 5.5. Wipe off the Loctite. Okay, so we'll set the IFP. Slowly press it down, and then slowly lift it up. Okay. Now we take the 3-weight Maximum oil, 3-weight RockShox, whatever you have, or anything equivalent. I like to pre-fill this piston as much as possible. With one finger I'm plugging that purge port. Fill it all the way up, and then take a pick to poke out those bubbles. And fill it up more. So that's good. And we'll fill the shock body. I'm holding my finger on the bleed port, or the purge port this entire time. Skim off these bubbles, and I'll just put that in place. There's some air bubbles rising through the purge port while you're threading it on. Okay, let's knock that out. And I'm using steel sealing ball for this one, which comes with the MTV hydraulics kit. It's better than the stock plastic ball because you can reuse it and it's not as finicky. So I pop that in, and I thread the set screw in place. Now we'll inflate the IFP. Just put valve core in place. This one takes 250 psi. Make sure the shock can, make sure you can compress it, the shock all the way, full travel, which is the case here. Make sure set the rebound to the slowest. Okay, it's nice and slow. Now we speed it up, it works. And then the last thing I like to do is do a tiny amount of purging here. In case there's any air that's still trapped in there. It looks fine. So now we'll also test the shock in both orientations. Make sure that there's no air in it, which you can hear and feel. Okay, it feels good. So yeah, we'll just check the purge plug and also the bearing assembly. Nice and tight. So we'll take the valve cap for the IFP and thread it in place. Okay, wipe this off. Wipe off the bottom out, top out bumper. Slide it on. Slide on the air can. Take the air can lubricant. I like to add about 3 milliliters or 2, more like 2. And then we'll thread this into place. Okay. You want to make sure it's nice and tight. So that's good. Make sure these seals are not popped out of their grooves or anything. And then make sure the orientation is correct, not upside down. Actually, on this one, I think it's symmetrical, but it's not the case on most of them. And wiggle that on, pops into place. Take the retainer seal from the kit, pop that into place, and then take the sag indicator from the kit, put that on, and put the rebound settings back. Now we'll just spray this off and put it in the bike, and we'll equalize it in the bike and start riding it. Okay, it's done.